Have you ever wondered what happened to those guys that got hanged in sister location? What about those springlock incidents we hear about in FNAF 3? And what about what happened to FNAF's most mysterious character, Miss Afton? In this video, I will be answering all of these questions. Kinda, along with more, and I say this because I think something happens in Pizzeria Simulator we all never notice, but we will get into all of my claims in a minute. I need to explain something first. Now, some of you may be confused. If you're new to the channel, then you can ignore this, but I said to my loyal people I'll be going away to work on a video solving everything in a specific game, like everything, but everything means it's gonna be a lot and therefore take a lot of time. But the problem is, it will be my first long form video on the channel, and I just don't feel good with me putting all of that time and effort into a possible 2-hour long video just for me to not know how it's going to deal with the algorithm. And because of that, I kind of haven't been working on a video, my bad. So I chose to do something shorter, and that's this video. So the video is still coming, don't worry. But for now, I have another rant to go about. So sit back, grab some Valentine's chocolate, and wait to ask out your crush, because I'm about to tell you all about the deaths in Five Nights at Freddy's that went forgotten. Now, to kick things off, near the start of system location, we learned from Angsty Teen Guy that a body was found in the vents that we used to get to the main location, and it was kinda never answered on what exactly happened to this body. Now, the obvious answer is that one of the animatronics killed it, duh, but the question still remains, which one? Well, the answer is kinda simple really. Throughout the entire game, we see these animatronics and learn what they are capable of, and something that they are not capable of, according to on-screen feeds, is fitting inside a vent, all except for the Bitty Babs, and the Mini-Arenas, and the Electro Babs, and Bonnet and Bonbon, but the Bitty Bats are the only ones we've seen closely connected to the vents, at least in the custom nights. So I would say it's safer to go with them instead of the others. Adding onto it, the Bitty Bats are the only ones we see actively going outside of the main bunker and into the elevator, which, wouldn't you know it, is only accessible via the vent where the body was found. So we know who killed it, at least from theorizing. Now the next question is, who was it and why was it killed? For who, I don't think it matters all too much. It was probably just some random maintenance worker who got unlucky, and we all know adults' death doesn't matter in this series, only kids do. That was a joke. I'm joking. As for why, it gets a little tricky, but I may have an idea. We all know the real reason why we, Michael, who we play as the system location, are here. Apparently, our goal is to put her back together, but Baby had other plans. Her and the other animatronics want to use Michael as a suit to be able to get out in the real world. Well, what if Michael wasn't their first option? They tried to get somebody else, the maintenance workers, hence the person who died in the vent. So what happened? Why was the body left in the vent? Well, it could go a couple ways. One, they killed the guy, started dragging him to the scooping room, but heard the other maintenance guys come in and retreated so they couldn't get caught. This is most likely the reason, but there may be more to it. Maybe they killed the guy so they can use him as a suit, like I just mentioned, but realized they weren't exactly ready yet. They still needed to get scooped themselves so they could all group together and actually fit inside the body. So they just abandoned ship. So there's that. However, there's still more. Remember how I said the identity of the guy who died didn't matter? Well, I lied. Just remember that this video is mostly going to be all speculation, as the reason for these deaths being forgotten is because we have little content on them. But with that being said, it's not much of a stretch to say that the person who died in the vent was the person who crafted the little vent door thingy in Baby's room. Maybe after he crafted it, survived against the Bitty Babs, and started to head home, that's when they attacked him, killing him in the vents and retreating back into the darkness. Moving on in system location, we have the Hanged Men in both the Laura's Gallery and the Funtime Auditorium. Now this is pretty simple. We see these guys in night 5, the night we get scooped. And one important thing to note from this night is that Ennard is already on the move, as we see behind Baby as we're getting that one thing John FNAF loves so much. So with that being said, there's only two possible explanations, Baby or Ennard, and it's probably Ennard. But like I said, it's really simple. Baby herself says she's pretending to be deactivated, and she actually has hand unit fooled, as he does think she is deactivated. But hey, maybe she just killed him and evaded the cameras. But here's the thing, she's not really small enough to fit inside the vents, which would be required in order to move rooms to actually kill the guys. But you know who is small enough to fit in? That's right, Ennard. Now, why did Ennard kill these guys? Well, once again, it's just all speculation, but I think that they didn't want any witnesses for what they were going to do with Michael. So they simply got rid of them in one of the most disturbing ways Five Nights at Freddy's has ever seen. Alrighty, that's all for system location. Let's go back into one of the more classics, Five Nights at Freddy's 3. In night 4, we listened to one of the more older tapes from Phone Guy in which he says this.
There's been a slight change of company policy concerning use of the suit. Don't. After learning of an unfortunate incident at the sister location involving multiple and simultaneous spring lock failures, the company has deemed the suit temporarily unfit for employees.
When we first heard this, we all thought that this meant there were some people who died in some springlock suits, specifically Freddy and Bonnie, and those souls turned out to be Shadow Freddy and Shadow Bonnie. Except we got more evidence onto the actual identity of Shadow Bonnie and Freddy and kind of just completely trashed on this theory. And so we waited and waited, and lo and behold, we got nothing. As the series progressed, we didn't really hear anything about these incidents, and to this day we are left to theorize about this with like one piece of evidence. Some people have theorized that this incident was the bite of 83, but that's not a springlock incident. It's more of a robot incident, but whatever. A more plausible theory is that Fazbear Entertainment learned about William or the puppet stuffing the missing children into the suits and tried to stop any more of that happening. But Freddy and the gang aren't springlock suits to begin with, as stated in FNAF 1, so that doesn't check out. You see, no theory really works, but I think that we did end up getting an answer to this, and it wasn't a death like the title in the video suggests. So sorry about that. I believe that the answer to this incident is in the novels. You see, in the Silver Eyes, the first book, we learned that William Afton survived the springlocks in the Spring Bonnie suit, and not just once either. In the second book, we learned he survived it again. I think these books are really confusing, but I think that's what happened in the games. This is the springlock incident Phone Guy's talking about. Think about it. This is the closest thing we've heard about a springlock incident since Afton's original death and the tapes. I can literally look at the first 4 games and give me one example of a springlock related incident that aren't those 2. It's also never said in the tapes that the victim or whatnot ever died, so it's very safe to assume that the victim survived. There's not much springlock suits we know of anyway, just 5 at most, the 4 we see in Fredbear's Diner and the one in Sister Location. But hey, maybe there's just a couple more laying around. Secret of the Mimic might confirm that. So I bet that at Fredbear's Diner, the sister location to Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, William Afton was working with the springlock suit, maybe Spring Bonnie or Fredbear, and let's just say he got springlocked for the first time, but he survived it, and Fazbear Entertainment over at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza caught wind of this and decided nah and retired the springlock suits that they had there. Maybe a springlock Freddy? But we all know that this did not stop William, and eventually he got too cocky in the way we all know. Now, I'm assuming we are halfway into the video. I'm trying to go for 15 minutes here. Thank you for watching. But before we get on to Ms. Afton, I would like to talk about something else for a minute. Something in Pizzeria Simulator. In this game, we have multiple endings. The completion ending, lore keeper ending, blacklisted ending, insanity ending, mediocre ending, and the bankruptcy ending. But one of those endings always felt off for me. The insanity ending. To get this ending, you have to buy the egg baby from the shop in the tycoon section, and in the office, you have to press the blue button that is usually green. This will start an audio recording from Henry in which he talks about William Afton, his past with him and the things he did, Henry's regrets, and his current plan to end everything. After that, a cartoon plays, basically telling us we saw something we shouldn't have and apparently prevented Henry's plan from going into action. Here's the thing though, it's heavily theorized that in this game we play as Michael. Why the f would Michael snitch? He's been through a lot of weird stuff. He's been through a couple nights of FNAF 2, he's played through FNAF 1, he's burned down the FNAF 3 location with his father's corpse possessing a rotten suit. He literally had his insides scooped out and is now being kept alive by melted, possessed robot lava. But now you want to tell me he heard a plan to finally end his father, something that he's already tried doing, might I add, and decided to go tell somebody? Something's going on here, and I've had a theory for a while that might solve this problem. We know which ending or endings are the canon ones, the completion ending and the lore keeper ending. These endings are the ones we can know for sure is done by Michael. However, the other endings, or at least the insanity ending, can't be done by Michael, just based on how we know his character is. So if these other endings were not done by Michael, the only other option is they were done by other people, for other people to be exact. And I think these endings were all done before Michael came into play. I mean, it makes sense. Not only would it solve the insanity ending, but it wouldn't really mess with any of the canon outcomes, except for one thing. If we are assuming that these endings happened before Michael's endings, you could say that it doesn't make sense that the restaurant is completely empty when we first start, as to even get these endings you have to at least buy a couple of things. But I'd argue that it does make sense. That petty cash we get at the start of the game, I bet that money is from Fazbear Entertainment selling the stuff to other people to help us with our journey. Now the only question left is, what happened to these people? Well, I think the endings gave us a very subtle hint on what happened to them, at least 3 of them. The insanity ending implies that the victim goes off to get a lobotomy, and I think you can already tell what might happen. The other 2 endings, bankruptcy and blacklisting, get a little bit more tricky. Hey guys, Skill Gamer here. Actually it's Guild Guard now. I don't go by that name anymore. I wanted to point out that I said bankruptcy and blacklisting. I am so sorry. I am too lazy to go back in and actually edit this. So this is all you're getting, but I meant to say bankruptcy and blacklisted. I also wanted to point out that at the start of the video, I said get Valentine's chocolate while showing a PNG of Easter Bonnie. It's smart. Yeah, this video took a long time to edit, so my bad. Anyways, that's it, except follow my Twitch. When I'm not editing, I'm probably going to be streaming games on there. Minecraft, Marvel Rivals, Counter-Strike 2, and FNAF, of course. So just please follow it to support me. For the blacklisted ending, the guy basically can't get a job anywhere. And with no job means no money. And with no money means no essential needs. And without essential needs, pretty dark, right? Bankruptcy is more or less the same thing, but since the guy just went bankrupt, he could easily just get another job and fix that himself. Unfortunately, we don't get any more information about this. Same with the mediocre ending. There's not enough evidence to suggest anything about their fate. With all that being said, I would say there are at least 2 other deaths in Pizzeria Simulators we all forgot, and with a bit more stretching, we could say 3. Of course, this is literally all just speculation. There's no actual evidence suggesting anything about their fate, but then again, I did say this video was going to be mostly speculation because of how forgotten these details were. So you can say they died, but you can also say that they didn't. It's up to you. Now, on to the last part of the video, the part I'm pretty sure you have all been waiting for. Where is she? What is she? Why is she? And where did she go? I wanted to answer these, so I went back throughout all of the games, read a bunch of books, scoured every bit of detail I could find, and I found something. I found the answer to the question. I found the answer to Miss Afton. The answer is, I don't know. I'm being dead honest with you when I say she literally has no appearance in the games whatsoever. Maybe the couch guy and Midnight Motorist, if you believe that orange guy is William and Mike is the runaway child. But when you think about it, that doesn't really tell us anything besides she just exists. Besides that, there's no any other mention of her. None at all. Hell, she's not even mentioned in the novels. The one series we got to know the most about Mr. Afton, Mrs. Afton's husband. You know that one theory that Miss Afton is the mastermind behind Fazbear Entertainment and the current president of FNAF? I don't believe that because the evidence behind it is just non-existent. And besides, Fazbear Entertainment is an LLC company, which doesn't even need a CEO or a mastermind. So it's safe to say that she died. But when? After the FNAF 4 minigames? During Pizzeria Simulator? How did she die? Did she get springlocked? Died of old age? Did she commit suicide because of William? The answer is we don't know because the evidence is just not there. She is nowhere in the games or books. There is nothing that can be said for her. I'm sorry. But I actually think that this is a good thing. Stillwell seems to want to go back in time and explore the origins of Fazbear Entertainment, aka Secret of the Mimic. And this game would be perfect to get some information on Miss Afton. She doesn't even need to be a prevalent character in the game. They could show something about how she died or something like that and finally give us some closure. So what if the answer to Miss Afton is in this game? That's what I believe. If she doesn't show up in some form in this game, then I think it's safe to say that we will never ever get any information on this woman for the rest of the franchise. And with that, the video ends. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye. Bye-bye. I'm going now. I have no other words. None at all. Except I lied. Miss Afton does show up in one of the games. It's a detail we all misinterpreted for a while. Unfortunately, I don't have enough time to explain it in this video. And to give you a hint of what game she does show up in, my next video, if this video does well, is all about solving everything in Five Nights at Freddy's 4. From the gameplay itself to its placement, and yes, even Golden Freddy. Everything in FNAF 4 will finally be solved. But for you to see that, I need you to subscribe and like the video because I can't do anything without you. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video. I have to go for now. See you later.